All right, welcome back to the podcast. On today's episode, we have a very exciting guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, this is Sophia Lopez, a World Spirit attorney, and thank you, Joshua, for having me. I'm so excited.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show and talk with us today. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in the world of professional wrestling?
It's been a long journey for me. Like, oh, I don't even want to say that year because then you guys gonna start like, wow, that's old. But more than 10 years ago, I met David McLean and Selena Majors, and they gave me the opportunity actually to start training to become a wrestler. And I just had my baby, and I was hesitating. I didn't know anything about wrestling back in the day. And as soon as I started going to that training facility, I just became in love with it. I realized wrestling is a different world. It's amazing. It's so much adrenaline. So I was able to train, and now that helps me because I'm able to understand the wrestlers and to represent them and become a voice for them. And it was very, very hard. It was very painful. Every single day I said, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I think I'm just going to disappear. But every single day I came back because the adrenaline. And basically they didn't until introduced me to wrestling. I wanted to stay. And since I had my baby and it was too little, I was afraid of an injury. So I said, "Oh, how about guys? If I can become the manager?" And I said, "I think Cage Heat needs someone to defend them and take them out of jail." And everything started like that. So I became Sophia Lopez, the public defender, the attorney, and manager. And I love it. I love it. I can talk about wrestling for hours now.
As a fan of wrestling, I think it's really, really amazing to see people like yourself being very successful in what used to be a male dominated industry years ago, which of course it's not now, which is great.
Indeed, indeed. It was like a dream come true, it is a dream come true because before, as you said, it was dominated by men. And now I become the first manager of WOW, which I'm proud to bark because then I say, now everyone, I'm the leader. Now everyone is the follower. Not everyone wants to be a manager in WOW, but I was the first and only. And I was able to bring the brains. I consider myself like a mastermind, and I did went to college. I mean, to university. Then I study, and somehow it's like, why? If I have like this major, I work for these auditing firms, these, legal firms, consulting, everything. Why I'm not gonna be able to show I'm capable at the same time to succeed in this, men's world, which is wrestling, showing that you can have that balance, brain and muscle and exercise and do it all.
Exactly. So I am really curious in your journey to professional wrestling, what do you think the biggest difference, other than being a mouthpiece for a tag team or a singles competitor, what do you think the difference it would be of being a competitor versus being a manager, and which do you enjoy more?
I really enjoy being a manager because I get the best part of both worlds. I sometimes they actually hit me, they throw me, and just helping somebody to succeed. Like, when I brought Tormenta right now, she's from Mexico, humble beginnings, give them an opportunity. And that person that I'm helping her, as a competitor, as a woman. as a new element from a different country. I don't know. It just more. It goes more than just a wrestling. It's a life for a person. It's the way they make their living, and it's their way of living. That's what they know. And coming to America and giving the opportunity to another person as a competitor to have that dream, it's just I don't know. I don't have it. I'm speechless. Like I feel so grateful to be able to do that. And of course, like behind me is everyone else, David, Jimmy, AJ, the whole production, everyone. But we all got an opportunity, and I just love my own thing.
And see, to me, that's amazing because in anything we do in life, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to have fun doing it. It sounds like being not only the manager type, but being able to help somebody elevate their character, so to speak, is it's got to be that amazing feeling. So, in regards to making your way to WoW, how was that journey for you?
It was very challenging in many ways because from the day one, we wanted WOW to succeed, right? So right now, that's how we see it. We see it like right now is the time for wow. Like before, it wasn't the time for wow. It was like the baby that needs to learn how to crawl and then walk and then run. And now I feel like we are running. But it was very challenging for me personally because I had so many life changes. I become a mother, then I was living in California and I moved to Texas, and I was just so grateful because David McLean kept calling me. Even if I was in Texas, Sophia, we're going to go to Vegas. Are you coming? Okay. It's like the Charlie Angel, when Charlie called the angel, like, doesn't matter where in the world you are, you get that phone call and you're there. And I was, okay, let's go to Vegas. And we went to Vegas and we had, the first shows. And then I really wanted to go back to California and keep training because at the beginning, I was like, I'm not going to chicken out. I need to prove myself and I want to keep training and I wanted to be a wrestler. And, but, life sent me to different, journey. So after Texas, I moved back to Mexico. So I felt like, oh, I'm even farther in a different country, right? So, but they still call me. And I thought, how about if they forget about me? There is so many Latinas in California and they don't want to pay for Mexico airplanes. So I was like, what am I going to do? And I was just so grateful. But at the same time, everyone, not just me, were expecting WOW to succeed. And then when they said, okay, right now we're going to be on a break. Oh, no. And then we're coming back. Oh, yeah. And we were always there. I just saw all that girls being so loyal. It didn't matter if it was 1 year later, 2 years later, 1 month later. Like now with the pandemic, if you receive that phone call, you still go. And with the pandemic, also you get discouraged because we were airing on Access TV back in that time. And which now is 10 times better, right? But you're like, really? Again? Now the world is shutting down? Like, no, like, wait. So right now, I feel this is the wow time. We're on the, perfect time, perfect place, perfect, networks, everything. So it's been a long journey. But when now we're running as that baby, like now we're running, and I feel like it's all worth it. Like so much experiences. I've been there for more than 10 years. So I get to see girls come and go. I kind of welcome, the beast. I remember, as I said, young girl being a champion. Then we had Dagger, Temptress, this is and they're not there. Amber O'Neill, Santana Garrett. They're all gone. And now I have to welcome and get to know all the like new generation. And it's great. It's great. But we still all somehow loyal to WoW. Like, Thunder Rosa with a Cobra Moon, a Serpentine, Krampus from Norway. I mean, it's so much history, and I'm just so grateful because I feel the main part of history. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things that not only is it a wonderful success story, but it's a success story for you as well, making the journey that you did to where you are currently. So, in transitioning into that, what has being a part of WoW done for you in your career, and where do you see things going in the future for you?
Well, right now, I just told you kind of like that short version of my journey with WoW, and I just focus on the successful part. And right now, believe it or not, we're on the top. We're on the best of it, right? But for me personally, it's been the hardest. So I cannot reveal much. It's like maybe one day, maybe you're the first one doing this interview, but later on the on the near future, I'm gonna reveal what I'm going with a very hard time, and yeah, I just can't reveal it because I cannot say much. But anyway, um, so I see well super successful, and for me, I just need to pray, I guess. But one day I'll tell you. I mean, hopefully you get that first interview. It's a really top secret right now, but this has been my hardest. I'm very grateful with WoW, and there is this thing that is going on that okay, I cannot say more, but as I said, I know it's working. It's gonna work for everyone else, and I hope it's working for me because it's just as I said. Okay, forget it. Let's change the subject.
I got you. Definitely, no problem there. I mean, I understand. So as far as things that you've done with WoW, were you a performer with them other than being a manager?
Like as a wrestler, like no, I really want. I really love being a manager. Like my a manager is my number one thing. I love it. Every time I'm there, I'm 24/7 Sophia Lopez. I became Sophia Lopez. I was saying in another interview, is like having to have two different personalities, and I don't want to get rid of her. And yeah, I just feel like I love being the mastermind and having like this rivalry with other managers and some of the wrestlers. It's just exciting.
So, in the career that you've had and that you still have, I don't mean to say that it in past tense, but as far as things that you've done with WoW, what is it like being a part of a storyline with them, and what do you think goes into a great storyline that you've been a part of?
Well, I think with Cobra Moon, it was, a great storyline. I wish, like in my very point of view, that we have more storylines, we got more into it, which we're doing, and that's great. I think that's, what makes that difference with WoW. Of course, I want more of the storyline, and but I think, as I said, we're getting in there. But with Cobra Moon, she was coming from Lucha Underground, so I just negotiated her contract. I brought her to WoW. She did, these lucha moves, amazing, versus Tessa, all like the Beast. I mean, she was amazing. And that storyline just make me feel like I want more and more and more. And it's so funny because we keep growing the storyline outside of the cameras. Like outside of the camera, like, yeah, and all this happened, and yeah, and then you're like, wow. So we keep living the storyline, and you guys never get to see it. So in real life, I'm living all this storyline. You're like, I wish, we had a camera following us 24/7, or like they get to shoot all this and then now bringing Tormenta, same thing. I have all this storyline with Tormenta, and sometimes we're roommates, like we're roommates in the hotel. and we talk for hours, and we go late, very late to sleep, and so that the storyline keeps going on. So I think the best storyline is the one that I'm living behind camera, and that's the real life. But she keeps being tormented. I keep being Sophia Lopez. The same with the other girls. But I really, really enjoy the whole Cobra Moon and then Serpentine and Tessa and, making risky businesses. And that was exciting.
So in the career that you're doing now, what do you think is a lot more fun and interesting? The backstage kind of promos, or being out in front of the audience, so to speak, and being able to perform out in the ring?
Both is a compliment. Like if you take one from the other, then all the magic disappears. But yeah, like the promos, I enjoy them in a different way because you're in front of a camera, right? But being with a live audience, I it's like you get all that energy, the fans, the family, the kids, the commentator, the referees, the lights, the music. I mean, the moves. Like seriously, some matches are like 6 minutes. Some, I mean, 4, 8 minutes, and they just go by fast. That you feel like, no, I want more. And it's very hard to split them. You can't. It's a compliment. You have to have them both. And but being on live with the audience, that is priceless. Priceless. I love the fans. I love the kids. I love everyone. And I come and shake hands, and then I tell the little kids, go to college. And then it was great because one of the moms say, hey, my daughter or my son told me that you told them to go to college. So they remember. And those little words are the ones that maybe you're going to make a difference to that person in the future because you saw these lawyers, Sophia Lopez, mastermind, not afraid of taking, a hit from any wrestler. And still till you go to college, you're like, wow, I want to go to college now. So that's what we're trying to do to make a difference, to bring a good example and motivate kids, women, guys, whoever.
Definitely. And I think that with WoW, instead of being like most promotions calling people superstars or professional wrestlers, I love that they call you guys superheroes.
I love it because we are truly superheroes. If you go and see everyone brings part of their own life into WoW, and everyone we all had a difficult journey. Like my story is not easy, as I said right now. I just tell you like the easy part because we'll be here like for 3 days, and I'm gonna keep talking, telling you my story. But yeah, I lost my dad when I was 14 years old. Some of like the other backstories, like Chantilly, like now jungle girl that she was, also sick. That many things from our real life, you know, we have to overcome. And that's what makes a superhero. It's like never giving up. It doesn't matter how many times you are on the ground. You have to stand up and keep fighting. And I can tell you a little bit of the story, like Tormenta, as I said. She had a hard living in Mexico in the past, and she thought this is gonna bring me, this hope to succeed, to be an example, to make a difference. Candy Crush, same thing, boxing at the beginning, then wrestling, the Steffi's Place, the Steffi, at some point of view, she says she was going through depression, then you find wow, and it's kind of what rescued you, and wow is, let me tell this, wow is, wow is rescuing you, but at the same time, you have to do that job. And that part of you doing a job is what makes you a superhero.
And I couldn't agree more. I mean, just being in the position that you are, as far as being in front of a TV camera and being able to perform live for people, people latch on to that. People are able to view you in such a way that I would probably say 90 to 95%, if not higher than that, see what you do, and that inspires them to be better in life in general and strive for their goals, which is what we all want for our fellow peers, is to be a better person and try to follow our dreams.
Yeah, and to be honest, Joshua, for example, I had a couple of, fans reaching to me, and it's this guy is like, hey, but I have dyslexia, I have this, another, they're like, listen, I'm in a wheelchair. So I realized that when they see us, we fight their battles. You know what I mean? It's like if they become us, and then because we have so many superheroes that everyone has a different personality, and maybe this person could relate to me, to Sophia, someone can relate to Vivian Rivera, someone to chainsaw, someone to voodoo, somebody to coach. So you get to choose your superhero, and at the end they're fighting your battle because you wish you could be there fighting and beating that opponent, but they do it for you. And that's the magic of it because, like my friend, they cannot, I always say that my fans, they become my friends and then they become my family. They know I might not be able to be there because I cannot do it, physically because I'm sick or I have this or I have that. But she can do it for me. And that's amazing because we're open to fight their battles and engage and become friends with the fans. And those one of those things that also is priceless for me that WoW has given me.
So I know that we chatted a little bit on Instagram. Where can people find you to keep up to date with things that are going on with you?
On Instagram, I'm like wow underscore Sophia Lopez, and on Twitter, I'm wowie underscore Sophia. And the one that I focus the most is Instagram. So I answer every message, and that's myself. I'm like answering. And right now, I have an Instagram going on through. I'm like scouting for my next client. So I gonna get to also go and get to know each superhero and handpick my next, wow superhero client. And then I ask the opinion of the fans. It's like, what do you think? And then some people they might know the superhero, but if they don't know them, I cannot introduce them to them. And if they know them, like, oh yeah, I like this superhero because this and that, or no, that one don't trust this one, and it's great. And that's the dynamic that I have right now on Instagram. So yeah, you guys can look me up on WOW underscore Sophia Lopez in Instagram. And the messages, I'm not that good because I get so many that I get lost. But with the comments, I'm always answering the comments, and it's just great.
And finally, to be able to watch you on WoW TV, where can we find you there?
Right now we're on CW, on CBS, and Pluto TV. It changes. It changes depends on your on time zone. But next, so check your local listings. I always say like, just check your local listings. You can find us. Uh, I want to encourage everyone to watch us next Saturday because January 14th, I have Tormenta fighting against Vivian Rivera. So I'm so excited to everyone to see that match because there is two Latinas, very powerful, from Mexico and then El Salvador, and then they know lucha, and then they're gonna bring more acrobatic, more energy. Like the Latina, I always say, is like the salt and the pepper or the spicy that you need to have, right? So we're gonna have that match, and I am encouraging everyone next Saturday, January 14th. Check your, local listings, Pluto TV, CW, CBS, Paramount Plus. I mean, you'll find us, and also, as I said, on the local channels as well.
Well, you heard it here first. I mean, that sounds like a must see. You cannot miss it.
Oh, yeah, I know. And I want to ask you a question. What do you like about wrestling, or what do you like about WoW, Joshua? What is the thing that you actually got you into WoW?
So I think, as far as overall wrestling, I think as a fan, you're able to watch the wrestlers do things that you may not be able to physically do and tell stories in such a way that no matter whether it be watching TV shows or movies or whatever the case may be, you don't see that kind of entertainment. And if a story's told very well, which for you guys, that's what got me into it. I was staying up one night. I think I was on vacation from my full time job, and I was scrolling through. It was actually Pluto TV, believe it or not, and I ran across that, and I watched a couple episodes, and the thing that caught me about that was the storytelling and the athleticism, and the fact that you guys are able to tell a story in such a way that you have to stay glued to your seat. You don't get up and walk away from it. And you don't find that a lot now in wrestling in general.
Ah, yeah, I know. I wish we could have more of that storytelling. As I said, it's so much going on and so little that we can get to tell. But seriously, we are able to tell it all. It will be totally amazing. You guys will love it even more. But I'm glad that you were scrolling and I mean, and you got engaged and you love WoW. And as I said, we are so many girls and everyone is different. Everyone brings their own little thing, and little by little, you're gonna start feeling like familiar with everyone and feel like I like this one, or I like this one better, or I'm cheering for the heels, but I'm not cheering about I like, the heels or the baby faces, or everything has a twist. And I love that Selena, she's old school. She also was, doing that wrestling for so long, and she's, doing some of the storyline and training sometimes, training the girls and having that essence, and also getting to know why David McLean started with a whole idea, because when he was a little kid, he was watching wrestling and he got, into the women of wrestling, but he always wanted to keep it as a family show, which is one of the things that makes WoW different. It's a family show that it could be for kids, grandma, I mean, everyone, not just women, not just men, not just adults. I mean, everyone can find their own superhero. So I'm so glad that you like us, and keep researching and keep making interviews and keep engaging, and maybe one day we get to see you in those live shows.
Exactly, exactly. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with me. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope that we can do it again in the future.
Oh yeah, of course. As I said, I have so many things to tell, and I know every superhero. I won't spill the beans, but no, thank you. Thank you very much, Joshua. For me, this is amazing. I love interviews because, as I said, as a manager, I see myself more like spreading the word, like being a voice for those superheroes. Because in the past, I feel like, yeah, sure, you go and wrestle, but they don't know your story, or who's gonna bring you and introduce you to the people, or who's gonna be able to say, look, I have this amazing person that had an injury, broke their nose, their rib, their arm for doing wrestling, and they still have to make a living, or things like that. So thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping to see you in the future with more interviews, hopefully with my clients, and yeah, just keep watching us.